I'm going to show you how to take out your jealousy window, fix it, put it back in. I've already actually taken mine out, painted the bus already, but I just set it up here to show you. You just have some screws on the inside all the way around. Undo those screws. So undo your screws from the inside, and then on the outside you just hold the glass while you push from the inside so you don't let it go. Nice to have a friend to do it with you. Just push it out. Then once you get it out a little bit, you just grab a hold of him, and voila, it's out of the bus. The only seal you really need to replace is this outermost one. Just give it a pull and it slides right off of there. In order to get the jealousy windows out, you need to take a screwdriver, Phillips head, and undo this screw and this screw, and do it on the other end also, right here and right here. I'm going to go ahead and take those out. After I've taken them out, I'm going to put them in a baggie, labeled. Now I can access my screen that's in there. I'm going to lay my frame out the same way that it goes together. So my screen has a small hole in it somewhere. With my screen out now, I can go ahead and replace the screen because you can see I've got a couple rips here. This piece here you can buy at any hardware store. It's the same type of thing that holds in the screens inside a house if you've got a... The next thing I'm going to do is take out these two screws for each one of the windows. With all of the screws out, you should have 12 screws. I put all 12 screws in the same bag because they're all the same. I find that it's easier to use a magnetic screwdriver because it was easier to fish the screws out that way. Once you have all 12 screws removed, place them inside a baggie. Now, for each window, is just going to lift right out of there at this point. So just grab your window, lift him up, and you can set him down here with the rest of the apparatus. I've taken the bottom two out, they just lifted right out. The second one I wiggled a little bit, it was caught right here. This third one doesn't want to come out like this, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen up the top of the frame the same way I did the bottom of the frame. Because these screws are the same as the ones from the bottom of the frame, I'm just going to add them to the same baggie. So I did put them in the baggie. This one right here doesn't want to come past this little bent lip, which I could unbend. The screw's not going anywhere, so I'm going to leave it there. Now pull this one off. Is he going to come off? There it goes. Pull him off, and again I'm going to set it down in the same way that I positioned the whole frame. And now this one should come out, I think. Yep, he just fell out of that side and fell out of this side. So now I'm going to go ahead and stick the whole thing down there. There we go. Now all we're left is this guy. The next thing I want to do is take this piece of rubber out, and I've moved my louver edges back up, so I'm just going to slide him out of there. If he doesn't come out, they may be pinched at the end, but you could get a flathead screwdriver and unpinch it. So he just slides right on out of there. Do the same thing to the other side. The window screws were fine. These are the frame screws, and they all had a little bit of rust on the heads. So I've marked there should be 8, and where they are right now, I'll put the baggie back where it goes over here. So I can find it. I started to clean this bar with steel wool. It makes a huge difference. But there's rust at this end. I would like to soak this in the rust dissolver, which takes about half an hour. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is just a little C-clip here. So I'm going to need 2 hands, but I'm going to push this thing off. If you have a spreader, you can do it with that. But yeah, I'm just going to press it off, and then this bar will slide out. And you see, I just used a flathead screwdriver and my thumb on the other side to keep it there. Pressed it. It slid out. And then this piece should have just slid over there easy. It didn't slide so easy. It's in here pretty tight, so I had to give it a little bit of force, but it slides right out. Now they're both out. I did go ahead and put one of them in the rust dissolver, and I put the other in a bag, said that where the other one is. You need to leave things soaking in this stuff for 30 minutes, and it does work pretty well. I'll clean all the rust right off of there. And this is corrosive. You shouldn't touch it with your hands. I'm not wearing gloves. Wash my hands, try not to get it on me. You definitely want to wear glasses. Alright, I'm going to take this piece out the same way I took it outside. I'm just going to grab it and slide it. And he's not going to move real easily because he's got gunk and grime in there, but I'm going to get him with 2 hands. Okay, it is not coming out, but it's not because of grime. It's got a pinch in it here that was intentional, done to prevent it from sliding in and out. So I've just got to get this pinch straightened out in order to get this seal out, and then I will put the new seal in and re-pinch it. So there's one at each end. Alright, I'm sure there's a better way to get it to this thing, but I used a blade to cut out a little bit of the rubber, and then use my screwdriver to press in there and there to widen it a bit and give it a good hard tug in the center and on the end, and he's come free. So the channel that goes on the inside of the car, there's going to be screws going into it. It's kind of cruddy. I've started to take some steel wool, and that wipes crud away pretty well. After I do that, I'll probably hit it with some rust converter. Alright, 10 minutes of rubbing it with some steel wool. Got it down to that. Definitely feels smoother. And I'm going to hit it with some chrome polish. Alright, I went in, had some dinner, took my daughter to play practice. Came back out, finished cleaning up these 4 frame pieces. Now, this definitely needs the rubber replaced. So this is the inner seal here, but then this has also got another one of those that just slides out. So I'm going to take both of those out. To get this out, I'm going to take this frame apart. So unscrew them here and here on both ends. There's 4 of these that come out. They are a slightly different length than the side screws, so you want to make sure you keep those separate. And I did go ahead and stick a couple of them into the rust dissolve. When we get these apart, is I'm just going to work the side pieces off. Moving here, I might be able to move this with only one hand, maybe. Yep. As soon as I just needed to give it a good tug, it came right on out of there, and you can see that this rubber is shot. Note the direction these go in. See, this has got it's got a little cut in the side there, and the bottom of it is not. And this is the top of the frame. Fortunately, I had a sticker here to help me remember that. So, top of the frame has got the cutout on it. The next step is to get these top and bottom rails off. The same fashion, they should just pull out of there. But they're very, very tight on there, and I was having trouble getting them off. So I'm going to get something nice and long. It's not going to do damage. I'll put it on there, and I'm going to brace this side of it with my hand while I just tap on it with this. Now I figured that I was going to push this one out, but this bottom one pulled off, which works just the same. So got that one. Now I've got to work at getting this top edge off. Just be gentle. I'm just wiggling the rail a little bit and putting a little force on it, and it's starting to come apart there with my thumb. But again, take your time, work slowly, don't break your glass. I went ahead and lay the glass flat with the lip over the edge and the screwdriver against the metal lip and just tapped it lightly, and that's gotten me enough so that I can get him loose. So he's loose now, I should be able to work him out. Now with the glass out, and here is the way that the frame goes back together. I've peeled the old rubber away, and I used some steel wool and some glass cleaner to clean the edges of it. I'm not worried about having a clean window right now. Just need to make sure it's clean so I can get the new gasket on. The new rubber is an enclosed piece. It's goes over the edge of the glass. Both sides are ribbed, so that you're not going to be able to put this on the wrong way. So just slide the glass into the only channel that you've got there. I start by putting one corner in, and then I'm going to work my way up the edge. Put that corner in, and then work my way around. So this stuff doesn't grab tight like most window rubber. So I've used a couple of clothespins down there. I've got a chip clip hand if I need to. I'm just going to stretch it out right now and kind of size it to see where it needs to go. Just kind of opening up this lip right now so I can stretch them and put them over this corner. This thing really fits loose all the way around, and in the corners it pulls up. So, alright, so frame pieces, the notch. This piece comes in here. He's going to screw onto this screw here. This one's going to screw in here. This goes over the bottom. Normally I would reverse the way I took things apart. So I would have put the long end in, but yeah, I think in order to line it up, I'm going to put this short end in first. So I just stood that end on a towel and very gently worked that down in. I did use a little bit of silicone spray. On the sides, I'm not sure if I'm going to need that. Now with both ends in, I'm going to go ahead, now I can line this one up, so I'm going to go and push him into there. I've just elevated the window a little bit so I can go ahead and center it and push it on instead of moving the window. Okay, so the 3 sides were easy enough to get in, but the 4th side, it wants to bounce out. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of shore up the frame a little bit, put a couple of screws in and just keeping them loose until I get it all together. To get this second one lined up, I'm actually putting a little pressure with my hand here so that the holes line up. Now, this stuff keeps wanting to flip around, so I went ahead and started that screw. Okay, I tightened up the last screw, and then need to work this down. Make sure all of this rubber gets shoved up. I've taken apart the second louvered window. On the first one though, I did not replace this piece yet, so again I've got to uncrimp it right here and then slide it out, and then I'll slide this new piece in. The old piece is hard to see the flat edge, but it's up, the flatter edge is up against the window. So this is not the right piece. If you look at this piece here, it's got some ridges and then a flat piece. The flat part is the part that goes toward the window. To uncrimp it, I just use a flathead screwdriver here and tap the end of it. The wedge will just pull that little guy apart a little bit. And then I'm just going to pull it out and slide all the way down. Put the new rubber in. It's shaped kind of like a Y. Got the wrong end of it here, so it's just got to go in this way. I'm going to grab the opposite end. Alright, so the Y is what it's shaped like. The part that's smooth faces the glass, and slide it into that channel. I'm just going to, it crimps not all the way loose, but I'm going to go slide them right past it. I'm just going to slide it all the way until you get to the end. As I got a little further along, it became a little harder to pull it. Just kind of worked it in from this end and then pushed it through the middle. And now I'm at this other crimp here, so I'm going to work the rubber up past it, and then I will crimp this and this. You use an actual crimping tool. I'm just going to use this pair of pliers and just grab it and crimp them shut. I didn't have to squeeze real hard, and as long as the rubber doesn't move in and out of there, you're fine. And then just take a blade and cut it off right at the end. Ta-da! With this second window taken apart, I'm going to go ahead and remove this rubber from here before I put the frame back together. I wasn't sure if I was going to replace all the rubber when I did the last one, but once you've got it apart, the money is a lot less than the effort of taking the thing apart, so do all the rubber. Alright, second window frame is cleaned up, little steel wool on the edges of the glass itself, and I use some compressed air. You don't need to, especially if you don't have a compressor. But like an idiot, I have my safety glasses sitting here. I actually had 2 pairs sitting here. The other one's on my face now. And yes, before I put it on my face, I did blow dust into my eyes. Always wear your safety glasses. I gotta record. Okay, so to take the screen out, I just used this little hook tool here, get underneath there to pull them out. I already started it, and then it just slides on out of there. And then I'm going to replace this. Again, this piece and this you can get at your local hardware store. I didn't notice when I did the first window that there is a small, you can't even see it on the camera, there's a little bit of white lettering on the window. Bottom left hand corner read from the outside correctly. So when putting it back together, make sure it goes on that way. Also, when I put the first window back together, I did have to kind of pull and push and wiggle this seam to make it so it sat just right on the edge of this. Okay, after doing things the wrong way on this second frame, by the wrong way I mean I tried using silicone, I tried using adhesives, I tried cleaning, I tried re-stretching it, I tried stretching it more, I tried stretching it less, and this just kept on either coming out or getting jammed in. Just couldn't do it. Eventually I decided, oh, you know what, I'll just cut it. And so I cut one of them, and, oh, not that one. The cut piece, I thought, well, because that'll give me room to flex it. The problem is then that I said, well, I need to stretch it, so I cut a piece out of it. Maybe cutting it could work, but don't cut a piece out of it. So I had to section this wire, and I thought I'd just stretch it. It won't stretch because it goes right back in. So now I found that just by working it, you can press some of it in just plain like this. But what I found was working for me was I would just take my thumb or finger and roll out, just past where you are, and press in right behind it. So it's rolling the lip out and pressing in behind it, and it just goes right in. So I spent a long time doing it wrong. So hopefully this method works for you. Okay, so by taking and rolling out the lip of it right here and using a broken clothespin, I'm just pressing the lip in as I work my way down, and it feeds right in. So, kind of looks like, looks like this right here. Okay, I also have used a screwdriver with a flat head. If it's really being stubborn, I really need 2 hands to it, but just kind of work it gently. Don't want to puncture the rubber, and definitely don't want to break the glass. Alright, so I've got all the pieces, they're all clean here, and I thought, you know, bring them in the house, put them together. I put this in this one here. This, I still have a couple little pieces sticking out. I'm going to work with them a little bit, and in the end, if I can't get everything done in, I may just razor blade them off. They're sealed. And I would recommend, if they look great, don't bother taking that glass apart. If they're not leaking and they look fine, just replace these pieces all the way around and the outer seal. Everything's been cleaned up. I still have to run this through the edges of each of these pieces, put these in the right places, and then I'm going to start reassembling. To get the old piece of this out, I wedged a small screwdriver into the pinch and got the rubber free, but to get the new rubber back in, I used this larger screwdriver, put it in there and just kind of turn it to the side, which is enough. And then this has got that kind of end on it, and it slides across, and then you pinch here and here. Alright, so this next piece, you've got the little Y shape there. The ridged edge faces the window, slides in the little slot, but mine is getting caught right here. So on the other side I was able to kind of feed it through. I can't right now, so I'm going to give it a little shot of silicone right there, and then I'm going to feed them in. I'm going to put it back together. This piece here faces up like this. This one here is going to go in there. This one is here, 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 and this guy here is going to go on like this. So I'm going to flip. So I've got to get him here. So these pieces here are flipped this way so that he gets on. By turning the knob clockwise all the way, once I stuck this on, I'm in the full open position. And I'm going to take my little C-clip out of here and stab them back on that. I opened these up all the way manually. There's not a knob on this side, and the bar is already facing this direction, so you just open it up until this lines up here, and you're going to put your C-clip over this. He's got 2 little slots there. I'm going to use the one that's closer to make him tighter. Next, I'm going to take my frame screws and put 2 there, 2 there, 2, and 2. Okay, with the frame mostly screwed together, I did have to leave this undone so that I could pull this aside in order to let this go in all the way. It wouldn't go in unless I put it to the side. And now with the window cranked up, I'm going to get my window screws and I'm going to put each of those in. I need to get one below and one above. Alright, I should have taken the top edge off, not the bottom edge, because I need to get underneath this lip, and as I go along I need this one here to go in first, and then I screw them in and work my way down. Stuck all the windows back in and ensured that each of the screws are all tightened down, and now I need to put the frame back together and tighten down. With all the screws tightened down and double checked, I've closed the vents, and now I'll put the screen in. To remove the old screen, dig in with a screwdriver or something to get this spline started here, and it just peels out all the way around. As you can see, I've already peeled it out. So it just peels out, and then your screen is free. You just pull that guy out of there. You can see that there's some overlap, so the screen will go in a little bit further, so that when you press your new spline down, it will hold that screen. Take the screen all the way out, and I'm going to set it aside for measuring. I'll just lay my new screen down on top of him. I laid the new screen over the top of the old screen and just cut it with some excess. I've just clamped the screen down so I can stretch it a little bit so that it's nice and tight once I put it in. So I'm going to take the cord, I'm just going to shove it down in, and then I'll work my way around. This tool is designed to press screen spline in. It's a couple of dollars to buy this tool, highly recommended. You can shove it in, you know, with a screwdriver or your fingers. You're going to save a lot of time by using this. I removed the clamps as I came around. It's just to allow the screen to go down. Again, as I get to where I have a clamp, I need to pull it out so that the screen can go in. And you don't need to buy new spline if your spline comes out okay. My spline was in pretty good shape. I could have reused it, but I figure if I'm taking the time to do this whole window, a $1 bag of screen spline is fine. Here's the correct size for it, 0.125 inches. As I work my way down now, no clamps in it at this point, I'm just giving it a little bit of pull with my thumb just ahead of where I am, just to make sure that the screen stays tight. Now with a new blade in here, I'm going to go around and cut the screen right there along the edge, and of course I'll cut this excess off too. Alright, with my screen all the way in, it's time to put the screen back in here, and it should just set down in. So this just slides under to get the screen in. First, you're going to start at the end where the dial is. Slide it underneath, and then it sits on top of the edges, and I use the screwdriver to just flip it like so, and then get it in that way. Well, so to make it fit nice and tight, I actually went and curved the edge of the screen a little bit, and so that when it goes down in, it basically holds itself in. This clip here then is just kind of redundant, and he's loose anyway. Gravity will keep him pointed down. Up here the clip was missing, and I'm going to fashion in probably a screw with another clip that flips up that way. Well, I had trouble getting this corner in. I even bent the metal a little bit. So since I've got the frame out, it's easy enough to unscrew this. Of course, if the frame is inside the vehicle, that's not an option. Alright, for the other clip, I went and cut a piece out of an old spreader and just took and pop riveted in, and it works great. Now it's time to put the seal on it. The seal has this thin area and then fatter one. It's going to go on the outside. So the thin and the fat on the outside here. I think like that, yeah. And so then I'm going to take and just stretch it all the way around. I just hand fitted around 3 corners there, and now I'm going to stretch it right here to get this last corner on. And now I'm just going to, it's tighter on the other edge there, just stretched, so I'm going to push this piece in like this. Now that I've got the 4 corners on, I'm going to stretch out the edges so I even it up, and I'm going to make sure that the lip is over it. Realize that this has a tiny little lip it can go over, which holds it in, so it's not flopping around like I just had it. Alright, I did all this wrong. First of all, I tried to stick the bottom edge in and then force the top edge in, pushing harder and harder, and winds up you can't put the top edge in second because it actually has a metal lip behind it. So now I'm going to touch my paint out there. But this part here is what I was pounding against the edge of the door. So once you do get that in, you just kind of work your way around this seam here, pushing at it. You know, pushing it with your heel or your hand or whatever. And then it got mostly in there, and you're able to get some screws going. And I wish I had painted the heads of these screws white. I could still take them out and do that later. I'm going to have to do some touch-up paint anyway. You can see right here, I've got myself another scratch. So this is the first time I've ever done a louvered window, and I made many mistakes. Hopefully, from my mistakes, you will have success. Also, I've got another one to do. Alright, so I have cleaned up the outside of it here and open it up a little bit, and I think it's all right. It's all right. And the inside looks like that. So that's what you got. Oh, the second window I did in 1/10 of the time I did the first window, and the frame stretches far enough that I can actually do this screen the right way. So you just take and he tucks in to the bottom first, like so. And then he kind of squishes down a little bit, and he should go into the top then. Of course, I still need two hands. Now, I'm going to need to work it in at the end a little bit here. I think I can get him. Yes, it snaps down in. Go to the other side. Come on, buddy. Okay, just the very corner. Is it in? Okay, it's in. Good deal.